Hey, it's your boy Coach Lou. Welcome back to another video. The long-awaited College Football 27 finally drops. See you guys early July 2nd for those that are going to be playing that early access. So look, I wanted to take a little bit of time and give you guys 5 teams that I believe are primed for success in starting a dynasty right off the bat. Now, whether that's online, offline, playing with your friends, or in a competitive setting, right? So, of course, as we all know by now, the NIL is going to be an important factor into the game. So I did factor that in while choosing these 5 teams. I'm also going to have a honorable mention team that we're going to throw in towards the end of the video as well. But, you know, sit back, relax, be sure you guys like, share, subscribe. And we're going to go ahead and get straight into it. I have done this video last year as well. Now, of course, it was very hard just choosing 5 teams. I felt like these 5 teams were just easiest to be able to start a dynasty and to be competitive from jump, right as you load into the game. Now, whether you try to rebuild the team into your own image and your own style of play, I think that you can fairly do that with these teams as well. Or if not, if you want to just rock out stock, these teams are at a real competitive level, a real competitive advantage for you to go ahead and get in, and you should be able to win, have pretty good pipelines. So getting started, we're going to start it off with those Kentucky Wildcats, right? Now, I know what you're thinking, why the heck is Kentucky on this list, right? A team that hasn't really fared so well in the past. But, things have changed at Kentucky under new head coach, Will Stein, the former offensive coordinator at Oregon, who orchestrated a masterful offense over there at Oregon, 44 points per game, over 531 yards, 3 Heisman candidate quarterbacks in Dylan Gabriel, Dante Moore, and Bo Nix. Right, so now the thing is with Kentucky, they are going to be under new leadership at quarterback Kenny Minchie, who's a transfer from Notre Dame, a 4-star ranked recruit, a top 12 quarterback in the nation. The team does feature a new rebuilt offensive line straight from that transfer portal. I do believe that they are going to start with a rather sizable NIL for you guys to work with, so being able to work over from that Bob Stoops era is going to be great. They also have great offensive support as far as the receivers and running backs go as well, so you should be able to pick them up, do a good bit of damage as well. As far as the pipelines go, you will not really have too much to worry about as far as contending in that specific niche area that is the bluegrass state of Kentucky. So, really fun. I look forward. I myself may be playing with Kentucky in my main league. Shout out Addicted. I'm not really sure yet. Haven't quite nailed down my final few teams that I think I'm going to play with, but you can't go wrong with Kentucky. Super beautiful uniforms, super beautiful alternative uniforms as well. And like I said, they're great. Moving on into our next spot, we have the Arkansas Razorbacks, keeping it in the SEC with this one. Now look, Arkansas has been one of those fringe teams where there's been a ton of speed, there's been a ton of dynamo athletes on the field. But there's been a new change of guard at head coach with Coach Ryan Silverfield, formerly of the Memphis Tigers, who's now taking over Arkansas. Now look, this guy has amassed a 50-25 record in his time in Memphis, right? 50-25. Now, yes, I know it's not the SEC, but you're going to be having that Memphis playbook over there, hopefully there with Arkansas, which is a pretty run-heavy playbook. But the thing is, with that playbook, there was a change in the guard at quarterback for Arkansas under Ryan Silverfield, where at first they had Seth Hennigan, if you guys remember him, like heavy pass first pocket present type guy, and then they switched over to Brendan Lewis from Nevada, who was a mobile dual threat guy, right? So with both of those quarterbacks, the offense found a way to compete. Over 2,300 rushing yards and 34 touchdowns, which is top of the nation, right? There at Arkansas. Now the biggest thing is for dynasty users, there's going to be 2 free quarterbacks here at Arkansas. Redshirt freshman, AJ Hill, 6'4", 230, plays sparingly, coming over from Memphis, 223 yards. And then you have redshirt sophomore KJ Hill, 6'4", 225, who had 441 yards there, who played behind Taylor Green, of course, who's now in the NFL. So a whole bunch of production from the receiver room that all transfers. Donovan Fupel, Chris Marshall, Jamari Hawkins all had over 400 yards. So, as far as the offensive perspective goes, Arkansas is going to be your go-to squad. And whatever offense it is you want to run, you should be able to successfully do that with Arkansas. Again, in the SEC, NIL shouldn't be an issue for you there. You're going to have 2 explosive quarterbacks to choose from. Now, it's up to you which one you choose, if you choose Hill or if you choose Jackson. And if you are able to retain and keep both, you are definitely putting yourself with a couple of legs up in the competition for taking those Arkansas Razorbacks. Next up, now this one might be a surprise. We have the Memphis Tigers, the aforementioned Memphis Tigers. I just spoke with them about their head coach. They also now have a new head coach as well, which we'll get into that in a little bit. But look, Memphis has a ton of transfers for you to work with. Now look, the team is set up for really instant success because a lot of these transfers are junior and senior laden heavy transfers. So those guys will be out of your program within 1 or 2 seasons. But that gives you a great starting point. A revamped offensive line for the Memphis Tigers. They are potentially moving up to a power program, a power conference as well. So you have that to look forward to. Now this team, just like Arkansas, has 2 stellar quarterbacks for you to work off with. 5-star quarterback Aaron Nolan, who transferred over from Ohio State. You know, hasn't really quite got the shot yet to take over. He's expected to lead here at Memphis, but right behind him is former 4-star quarterback Marcus Stokes, who had the less travel game path. He went on over to West Florida, where he dominated over at West Florida, over almost 4,000 passing yards. Now look, Charles Huff is now their head coach. He's a proven winner, conference championship over there at Marshall, won at Southern Miss as well. So you are going to have a great spot to be in. Former Buffs running back Dallas Hayden is also there too. So look, the transfer portal is going to be a place to be. Memphis right there in a prime location. Now look, NIL isn't going to be huge for them, so you're going to have to pick and choose as far as talent acquisition goes from there. But you can go to route of Charles Huff and just say, hey, let's make big splashes in the transfer portal. So your Memphis Tigers is definitely on this. Next up, we have the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. All right, so look, Georgia Tech, just getting outside of what we've been talking about, they have one of the best running playbooks throughout the entire game, as they do in real life, right? So if you're into counter and misdirection, counter galore, RPOs off of that counter action, then Georgia Tech is your stop, right? Quarterback runs out the wazoo, you hear me? So look, quarterback Alberto Mendoza, who transferred over from Indiana. And if that name does sound familiar, that is the brother of one Fernando Mendoza, Mr. Indiana himself, #1 pick in NFL draft to his Raiders. To the Raider fans out there, good luck. Got a long season ahead of you, but Alberto is now anchoring the ship here at Georgia Tech. He did play sparingly at Indiana. Obviously, Fernando and Indiana had lots of blowouts, but they also feature running back Justice Haynes, who transferred over from Michigan, and running back Malachi Hockey, who did run for 667 yards. Haynes himself had 857 and 10 tutties there at Michigan. So look, if you're one of those guys that wants to ground and pound, Georgia Tech is going to be definitely there for you. Bring Key, the head coach, the physical style, guy. The O-line room in Georgia Tech, also one of the best probably in college football, definitely underrated. Pipeline-wise, you're not going to have any troubles there in the South with Georgia, so you'll be able to steal and nab a couple of recruits from all over. But Georgia Tech definitely going to be the squad for you. Last but not least, we have the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now, for those of you that's really tapped in and truly tapped in, you would know that I did use Virginia Tech last season in college football 26 to start off my dynasty. Virginia Tech, not going to really ramble off too much about them, but as you guys know, they have new coach James Franklin over from Penn State. So, of course, they have a new chip on their shoulder. Starting off with him, you're definitely going to have a lot of different coaching archetypes to be able to utilize. Now, Virginia Tech is also bringing over quarterback Ethan Grunkmeyer from Penn State. Not a lot to write home about with that guy. 1,300 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, right? Transfer receiver from Duke, Quinyon Brown, 846 yards, 5 touchdowns. Definitely somebody to look for there at Virginia Tech. Now, with Virginia Tech, you have pretty much a clean slate. You have a storied program, to start off with. Saying, man, one of the most beautiful interests in all of college football, and some may say all of the world in sports in general, right? So you have a lot to work with. As far